This burner doesn't quit, man. You kill it, and it keeps rolling. It overcompensates, just like I do. I know you're hungry. I know you're upset. I'm Joe Riccio, and welcome to Coma, My 70s Kitchen, brought to you from My 70s Kitchen. Today we're going to make hot and sour soup. It's on every Chinese menu in every town that you go to, with varying degrees of quality. I've had some really bad hot and sour soup. I remember going to this one place in Biddeford, Maine, that I literally felt like I was having a cup of just vinegar, and that was really gross. Today I'm going to show you a simple method. It's kind of inspired by more of a Shanghai style. So it uses a black vinegar instead of red vinegar, which a lot of the other ones use. Start off, we're going to get our peanut oil on here. So I'm using a bougie peanut oil, the roasted La Tourangeau roasted peanut oil, which is delicious. I don't think it's a bad thing to use bougie peanut oil. And we're going to go right off the bat and put in some hot bean sauce. So in the Mapo Tofu episode, I talked about Pisan Dobujiang, which is essentially what this is. It's a fermented bean paste. But this does not have the whole beans in it. It tends to go by, on the label, it says hot bean sauce. So the texture is a little more like kind of ready to go for a soup. But it's that same flavor. It's that same kind of deep. It's pretty spicy. So we're just going to give it a quick stir fry just to kind of, oh yeah, it's mad. And then we're just going to go right to adding our chicken stock. Chicken stock, which I actually went ahead and seasoned with sugar, plenty of white pepper, and salt. Because why add those things separately if you don't need to? And then I'm going to add the most important ingredient in Chinese cooking, which is your Shaoxing cooking wine. Previous episodes, I've talked about the importance of finding a non-salted version of this. It's the equivalent of having a wine you can actually drink versus a wine that you would rather pour down the drain. So we're going to add a little bit of the Shaoxing wine to this. It basically drinks like sherry. I mean, it's an aged rice wine. That's why it gets that color. So this is kind of the base of the soup. So now we've established the spicy. We've given it some acidity. We haven't gone to the sour quite yet. And a lot of recipes, I always advocate for the use of Haiwa tofu, which is great. It's out of Camden, Maine. However, this soup, I think, is better with silken tofu because the texture, it just kind of falls apart in the soup. You don't really want chunks in this. Like I said, this is an appetizer soup, you know? So it's not supposed to be super heavy. It's not supposed to kind of fill you up. It's just supposed to kind of like get the taste buds working, I guess you could say. Like, you should have a hot and sour soup that doesn't need to be loaded up with crispy wontons, because that's usually what you do to like mask one up that's not very good. Which is fine, because any broth loaded up with crispy fried stuff turns good. But we're going to make one that doesn't need that. Oh, look, it's actually coming to a boil while I'm watching it. Praise the Lord. You see that? It's boiling, almost. It's bubbling. This is a record. So we're going to bring this up to a boil to kind of get it in the mood to incorporate the tofu and the mushrooms we're going to add. So the mushrooms I'm using, these are dried mushrooms. They're from Scordo, which is a Maine-based spice company. It makes a difference what dried mushrooms you use. They're a higher quality and lower quality. I mean, more on the spectrum of like, you know, when you're using like porcinis and chanterelles and morels. However, I mean, there's a reason that like, you know, the same package is 99 cents that might cost you like $8 or $10 is because the quality generally is better. I'm not saying the cheap stuff from the Asian market isn't going to fit the bill and get the job done. Actually, you know what we're going to do first? We're going to add the silken tofu. So the whole key is to add this without it splashing in my face, because silken tofu is going to fall right apart. Look at that, see? I mean, that's the hot and sour that you're used to in a restaurant. You don't want like chunks of tofu, even if it is delicious. You want it to kind of fall apart in the soup, like so. And we'll add the mushrooms too. So you can add shrimp, you can add pork. Some people even add egg, but I feel like egg is for egg drop soup and it's not hot and sour. There's 3 options, right? There's wonton, which I order wonton soup, and I usually just have the broth. The soup is so goddamn filling. But there's wonton soup, egg drop soup, hot and sour soup. Those are your soups that come with your combos, essentially, generally. Simmer this for a little while and let it incorporate. So what makes hot and sour soup not just mushroom and tofu soup is the texture, which comes from cornstarch. That's why there's that kind of, it's opaque, it's like a little thicker than most soups, and that's because you use a slurry made of cornstarch to thicken the soup. And you want to basically go 2 parts water to 1 part cornstarch, and then as it comes to a boil, just stir it, incorporate it. This is what's going to give it that texture of hot and sour soup that you're probably familiar with. A little bit of time. I like when I'm bored and I don't know what to do, I just grind pepper into things. White pepper, black pepper. You know, it's a great way to kill boredom because you can't have enough black pepper. I don't make the rules. I just play by them. We are about to get to the point where we add what makes it sour. We have the hot. We don't have the sour. So we're going to add a black vinegar, Qingqiang vinegar. This is from the Sichuan province. This is a black vinegar that's been aged for 3 years, which I believe mellows it out a little bit. Like I said, a lot of Chinese hot and sour soups call for red vinegar. But the Shanghai style calls for black vinegar, even though, you know, regardless of where the vinegar is from. So we're going to add that, about 3 tablespoons. So that looks like hot and sour soup, right? I mean, that looks like what you get generally. And the only difference is we're actually going to add an appropriate amount of scallions. I also had a little, by the way, there's a little bit of soy sauce mixed into with that vinegar as well, because I thought it'd be nice to season it up a little bit, and I'm using the double fermented soy sauce. I also have some cilantro, which is an optional garnish. If you're one of those people, which, I don't know, I'm starting to kind of feel weird about cooked cilantro. Isn't that strange? I don't know why. Not raw, but cooked for some reason. It just started standing out to me, but I'll still eat it. So our soup here is essentially done. With stir fries and most Chinese food, it's not a long process. We don't even have any fried wontons. But if you wanted to fry wontons, or you want to buy even those like, you know, shitty like la choy chow mein noodles, they're fine in there too. And I think I'm gonna have a little bowl of soup with some cilantro. Let's have some hot and sour soup. It's best to have while it's still boiling, you know, and put it directly into your mouth. But let's try our hot and sour soup. Make sure it's hot enough, sour enough. That's delicious. It tastes just like the one in the restaurant, provided you go to a restaurant that has good hot and sour soup. And actually, it makes a huge difference, especially with the shiitakes more. The wood ears don't really have a lot of flavor. Wood ears, I feel like they're there more for texture than anything. But these dried shiitakes from Scordo taste really good. And I think that's important. That's a simple one. Hot and sour soup. You can have it for breakfast. If you do want to poach an egg into it for breakfast, be my guest. If you want to scramble an egg, bring it up to a boil, take some chopsticks, stir the egg around until there's threads of egg throughout the soup. I mean, it's not going to make anything worse, put it that way. I'm Joe Riccio. This is Coma, my 70s kitchen. If you like what you saw today and you'd like to see more videos, more recipes, check out foodcomapodcast.com. Also go to my YouTube channel, just Joe Riccio, and please like and subscribe, and we will keep them coming.